Hi, I'm Mark Daly. I'm an immigration attorney with Pro Forma Immigration Attorneys. This is the second out of 7 videos designed to help you fill out your forms and get your green card if you are the spouse of a U.S. citizen. So this is a step-by-step guide to work with the USCIS and get all your immigration forms and documents together, get it filed, go to the interview, and get your green card. Now, this second video we're going to do is really driving into the I-130 and the I-130A. So this is really where we go into the forms, go step by step, line by line, and show you how to deal with the forms. So a little bit about me. I started step-by-step immigration forms as a way to bring people into getting good immigration advice for a low cost. So our normal office is Pro Forma Immigration Attorneys, and the Pro Forma Immigration Attorneys is where we do long-term contracts for people to take them and walk with them through the whole process. Step-by-step immigration forms is a way that you can book 2-hour session with an attorney and have the attorney review your forms, all your documents, and make sure you're doing everything right. You file the paperwork on your own. With Pro Forma, what we do is that we actually file the paperwork for you and we enter our appearance as your attorney. So we do both. I also do immigration law training, which is helping other attorneys who want to get into doing immigration law learn the fundamentals of immigration law and procedure. And so I've been doing this for a long time. I became a member of the California Bar in 2000. I joined AILA that same year, and I speak at conferences, and I love doing immigration law. So I want to start by talking about the different terms we have that are generic to immigration law. Petitioner, that's going to be the U.S. citizen. The beneficiary, okay, that's the immigrant. They're getting the benefits of the application. Applicant, that's also going to be the immigrant because the immigrant is applying for a green card, right? Permanent residency is the same as a green card, so we use that term interchangeably. And then adjustment of status, that's when you apply for a green card in the United States. You know, you can apply for permanent residency through an embassy or a consulate, and that's a different process. We call that consular processing. Adjustment of status is when you work with the USCIS here in the United States because you're living here and you're going through the process in that way. So what we're doing today is adjustment of status. So the overall thing, what are we doing? Downloading the forms. Go to the website, download the forms onto your hard drive first. Open the form from your hard drive, start filling it, and save it back to your hard drive. You're going to get your documents together. We've given you on the last video, the first video out of all these 7, all the documents you need and the questionnaires to get your information together. So this is how we start every case. Then you're going to actually fill out the forms. After you've gotten everything together, you dive into filling out the forms. That's where we are right now. We're going to do some form filling. Then after you've got your forms filled out, you're going to assemble and file all of these documents and these forms with the USCIS. Then after that, in about a year, you'll get an interview where you're called in, and we're also going to go and tell you how to prepare for your interview. So the adjustment of status for a spouse, again, we're talking about the first part of this, which is the I-130 petition for the alien relative. What this is the U.S. citizen is saying, hey, I have a spouse and I want to get them a green card. So I want to petition the government. I want to ask the government for a green card for my spouse. And the question is, well, how do we know it's a real marriage? So all of the documents that we present regarding the good faith marriage relate to proving this petition. The petition will be granted or denied based on the evidence of a good faith marriage. So what we're going to do today with this video, we're going to go into the USCIS website. We're going to look at the information on the form because it's always changing and we want to get the most updated information. Then we'll look at the form instructions where it breaks down really all the different questions and what they're looking for. And then we'll show you how to download the PDF and the fillable form, and we'll go through that form. Now the other application is the I-130A, supplemental information for the spouse beneficiary. And this is where they get all the information on the spouse. So there's a USCIS website, info on the form. We're going to look at that. We'll look at the form instructions, and then we'll go and show you how to fill in the form. So from here now, we're going to go and jump into the form filling. Okay, so this is where most people start, is with Google. So we go in USCIS.gov, put that in, let's see what comes up. Now there's advertisers, there's scams, there's all different kinds of stuff. So we want to make sure we got the good stuff here. USCIS.g forms, here we go. All right, so we're here. U.S. offices temporarily closed to the public. U.S. response to coronavirus disease. This is why we always go to the website, because we want to get these notices. We scroll down, you'll see all the forms listed alphabetically and numerically. Here we go. I-130 petition for alien relative. Now it says file online. We're not going to file online. We're going to file with a paper petition, because we want to have paper copies, and we want to do it old school to be able to hold more accountability to the USCIS. We can have a computer breakdown, we can have a network failure, we can have all kinds of stuff that just doesn't occur when we have paper copies going into the system that are scanned and then documented that way. So for accountability, for documenting it, we want to go and file paper copies. So we start here. Now here's a notice here, so you're going to read the notice on the new affidavit of support rules, and it has information that I just talked about, which is who is petitioning. It's a U.S. citizen, and what you're trying to do, get a green card, how to report suspected marriage fraud. We're talking about marriage fraud. And go down here, go to the I-130 petition for alien relative page to find detailed information. So here's the page for the I-130 petition for alien relative. It's got the notice again on the affidavit of support issues that are coming up. And here's where the form is, I-130. So this will take us to the form. This will take us to the instructions. Here's the I-130A, the supplemental information that we talked about. Now, there's more information here that you want to check out. Number of pages, okay, you know it's a 12-page form. The edition date, this is important, because if you fill out a form and it's old, they'll kick it back. So they're saying 2/13/19. You can find the edition date at the bottom of the page on the form and instructions. What that means is anything earlier than 2/13/19 is not going to be accepted for filing. Where to file? Filing location of I-130 depends on where you live. Okay, so we have direct filing addresses right here. And we go to a different web page for that, and then it has the state you live in and the address. So that's important to see. That's important to know. That was where to file. Now, filing tips for Form I-130. This is always nice too. Complete all sections of the form. We will reject the form if these fields are missing. The relationship, information about you, information about the beneficiary. Don't forget to sign your form, and we like to sign the forms in blue ink. So now we go to the filing fee. The filing fee is $535. Pay with a money order, personal check, or cashier's check. So I like to use a personal check, because when they cash the personal check, I'll get a copy of it and I'll have proof that they actually cashed the check. So I like doing it that way. And checklist of required initial evidence for informational purposes only. All right. So here is a nice little list of documents, and it's the evidence of U.S. citizenship, evidence of a family relationship, evidence of a bona fide marriage. All right. Proof of legal name change, 2 passport style photos. And then special instructions. And then we have special instructions here that you should check out if you have more questions. And then here's the related links. So they have more informational guides here. And then they have the lockbox filing tips, which I like the lockbox filing tips too, because this is where it talks about how to assemble your application, petition, or request. Right? Okay, so let's get back into it then. We're going to go dive into our form now that we've given you the overview of the form page. So the form itself here, I-130, and the instructions. So let's go look at the instructions first. It's going to open it up like this. Okay. And now this is not downloaded on my hard drive. Do I want to download this on my hard drive? Absolutely. You want to download each form, instruction, and form so you have proof of what the instructions were on the day that you filed the form. This is how lawyers do it. We always want to have proof. so that down the road, when they say that wasn't the way it was, we changed the rules. You can say, no, on this date, it was this way. So it would be a violation of my due process if you create a rule that I didn't know about at the time when I actually completed it. So I hit my download, and I would go ahead and download it on my hard drive like that. Okay, so this form then, let me build this up a little bit here. Very nice. Okay. Who may file Form I-130? If you are a U.S. citizen, you must file a separate I-130 for each eligible relative. You may file the I-130 for your spouse. That's what we're talking about right here. But there's other relationships, and even if you are a permanent resident, you can file for spouses and unmarried children. However, a permanent resident is not going to be what we would call an immediate relative, so this one up here, the immediate relatives, are higher priority applications. If you're filing for your spouse, you must complete and sign Form I-130 I-130A supplemental information. Okay, and then there's more stuff. I don't want to go too deep into this, just because we want to just not spend a lot of time. I've done videos in the past where it's taking a very, very long time. And so I want to get to the bottom of it. But it talks here about the biometric services that are needed, copies, translations. Here we go into how to fill out the Form I-130. Type or print legibly in black ink. Okay, make sure you do that. If you fill it out by hand, which is cool, you're going to use black ink on all this. If you need any extra space to complete any item, use the space provided in Part 9, additional information, or attach a separate sheet of paper. Type and print your name and A number, if any, at the top of each sheet. So sometimes you might have extra information. Answer all questions fully and accurately. Here, check this out. If a question does not apply to you, for example, if you've never been married and the question asks, provide the names of your current spouse, type or print in A unless otherwise directed. This is important. They'll start to kick back your form if it doesn't have an NA in it. Why do they do that? Because if not answering is vague, all right? They want, if you're going to lie about something, they want you to lie, and they want to catch you in the lie. So if it's blank and you're creating some vagueness around it, they're not going to want that. So they'll kick it back. So we're going to go through this, and I'll indicate the points where I think it's okay to put the NA and where you really don't need one. If your number to a question which requires a numeric response is 0 or none, for example, how many children do you have or how many times you've been departed the United States, type or print none unless otherwise directed. Okay, so numeric response, 0 or none. If a question does not apply to you, NA. All right, type or print. So we're going to be doing a lot of printing of NA because the field will not allow for typing of NA, or it won't allow for the typing of none, especially in the numeric fields. So what you got to do is print it out, go back and handwrite in none or NA. And then we're talking about month, date, and year format for the numbers. Okay. If you cannot provide an exact date, provide an approximate date in the same format and include an explanation in Part 9, additional information. Very important. Okay. Online account number. Okay, yeah, you can set up an account number, which is nice, but we're not going to go into that. But you can definitely do that, and there's instructions on the website on how to do that. Okay, biographic information. We are talking about ethnicity and race, height, weight, eye color, hair color. The I-94 arrival departure record. Okay, there's a website you can go to here where you can get your I-94 information electronically, which is going to be asked, and they just want to know the date, location, and the status that you entered the United States. And when we're adjusting status, we're always going to have to answer that question because we're in the United States to get a green card. Passport travel document numbers. Petitioner statement, contact information, this is where you sign it. Interpreter. Now, if the petitioner does not speak English, we want to make sure we have good interpreter contact information here. And then the person preparing the application right here, Part 8. As the lawyer, I would fill this out if I prepare your applications and I do a complete pro forma service for you. But this is a step-by-step, so you're going to be doing this on your own. We recommend that you print or save a copy of your completed petition to review in the future and for your records. Absolutely. All right. Does approval of this petition mean that my family member is automatically a lawful permanent resident, or can they immediately immigrate to the United States? No. An approved petition, the word is petition, does not give the beneficiary automatic lawful permanent resident status or permission to immediately immigrate to the United States, right? That's the other form. That's the I-485. In an adjustment of status situation, you need to apply for the green card. The non-U.S. citizen spouse, the immigrant, has to fill out an application for permanent residency. They are the applicant. When will a visa become available? Well, when approved for the spouse, unmarried children under 21 years of age, or parents of a U.S. citizen, these persons are classified as immediate relatives. Hey, look at that. Which means visas are immediately available to them. However, when a petition is approved for a U.S. citizen sibling or married or adult child, for lawful permanent residence child, unmarried son or daughter, it is assigned to the appropriate visa preference category. Each year, a limited number of immigrant visas are available for each preference category. The visas are processed in the order in which the petitions are properly filed and accepted by us. To be considered properly filed, the petition must be fully completed and signed. The filing fee must be paid. So there's the big distinction there between immediate relatives, non-immediate relatives. Non-immediate relatives have to wait for a number to become current so that they can immigrate. What documents you need to show you're a U.S. citizen? Okay, we've gone through our document checklist. What you need to show your lawful permanent resident, prove family relationship, documents the bona fide marriage. Here's the list. You've seen this list. We've gone through this. And then it says here, you must submit clear and convincing evidence that you and your spouse entered into the marriage in good faith and not for immigration purposes if you married your spouse while your spouse was the subject of an exclusion, deportation, removal, or rescission proceeding, including during the judicial review of any one of these proceedings. Or you are a lawful permanent resident that obtained your permanent residence through a prior marriage that was not determined by the death of your spouse, and you are filing your petition for your spouse that you were married within 5 years of obtaining your permanent residence. What does this all mean? All right. Clear and convincing evidence. The standard of proof when you marry someone who's in a removal proceeding is clear and convincing. That's a very high standard of proof. Okay, if you're not in a removal proceeding, which most people are going to be, then you need to just show preponderance of the evidence. Preponderance of the evidence is 51%. Clear and convincing evidence, on the other hand, is more like 85, 90%. What does that mean? That means you need to pile on evidence on that scale of justice to weigh it down. So you're getting more and more evidence to make it clear what's going on and that it's a real case. But remember, in this type of a situation where you're not in a removal proceeding, 51% is going to be fine. So when you're in an interview and they're saying, we need more proof, you can go, what? It's preponderance of evidence. I've given you 51%. That's how we always fight back on that, right? So a little legal standard here that's put into the instructions. Child born out of wedlock, brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, stepchildren. Here's how you prove all those relationships. If you've been married less than 2 years, which most of my clients have been married less than 2 years, if you've been married less than 2 years on the date your spouse has obtained permanent resident status, which means when you go to the interview, on the date that you're going for the interview to get the permanent residence, if you've been married less than 2 years, right, USCIS will grant conditional resident status under INA Section 216. USCIS then requires both of you and your spouses to file I-751, petition to remove conditions on residence, during the 90-day period immediately before your spouse's conditional resident status expires. So what happens is my couples, they go in, they've just been married a year, they go to the interview, the immigrant's going to get a 2-year green card. What they're saying is you're going to file more paperwork at least 90 days before the expiration of that 2 years. If you let that date go and you don't file till afterwards, it's very, very hard. It's very difficult. Remember, immigration wants to kick you out. They want to keep you from getting your benefits. So any reason they have to do that is great for them, and they will definitely jump on this to do that, to deny that. What if a name is changed? Unofficial documents not available. Okay, here's the filing fee, and then where to file, processing, basic information on the instructions. Okay, good. So there's the instructions. Yay, we've gone through the instructions. Now let's go through the form. All right. So the form I-130, I'm downloading it, I'm opening it, and then I'm putting it on my hard drive. Download it immediately on the hard drive. Thank you. Because if you don't do that, you just fill it out on the website here without downloading it. When you go to save it, none of the data will be saved. It's a tragedy. It's such a time waster. So listen to me on all these forms. Download them on your hard drive and then close out of the web browser and then go into your hard drive, open it up and fill it out. Listen from a boomer, okay? I know of what I speak. Okay, we start at the top. This is all information for USCIS right here on the top. So just ignore all that. And then select the box of Form G28 is attached. That's for lawyers. An attorney state bar would be for me. And if you have a USCIS online account number, you can put that in there as well. Okay, we start with here, relationship. You are the petitioner. Your relative is the beneficiary. Again, the terms are important. I am filing this petition for my spouse, right there. If you're filing this petition for a child or parent, okay, we're not, so we leave all those blank. Beneficiary brother, sister, related by adoption, not beneficiary to says brother, sister, leave it blank. Gain lawful permanent resident status through adoption. That might happen, and you can answer that question there. Information about you, the petitioner, alien registration number. Sometimes you have an A number because you've gone and you've naturalized as a citizen. So add that A number there. If you have an account number, put it there. Social security number, that's good there. And then your full name, all right? And so last name, first name, middle name. Names got to be as matching on your passport and your birth certificate, you U.S. citizen, you. So make sure the name is all congruent and the same. That when they ask you your name, they're talking about your birth certificate name, all right? Other names used. Now here's where you can put other names that are not on your birth certificate, but that you're used by, or they may show up in your database. So aliases, maiden names, and nicknames. Other information: place of birth, country of birth, date of birth, your sex, male or female. Mailing address, in care of name. Okay, do not put in an in care of name unless you're staying in a boarding house or something like that, where there really is a name of the owner of the property that is not you. Okay, street name, number. Okay, province, postal code, and country. So when we go into state and zip code, this is United States stuff. This is the outside the United States stuff. So you'd put a none or NA here and an NA here. Country. Is your current mailing address the same as your physical address? Okay, hopefully it's yes, so we'd hit yes there. If you answer no, provide the information on your physical address and items number 12A and 13B. Let's go to 12A. Here's 12A. Physical address. Boom. 13A. From and to. Okay. Provide your physical address for the last 5 years. So remember, you're going to use that attachment on the end of this form to do that, or maybe make a separate page and an addendum, but you got to go back 5 years. Provide your current address first. If it is different from your mailing address in item numbers 10A, 10J. So we go 10A, 10I, I'm sorry. If it's different from here, then put current address first. All right. If your current address is here, put your previous address, the one right before your current address here, and load that up with the dates from and to, physical here. Okay, so that's pretty clear. Marital information. How many times have you been married? Okay. Think about your marriages. How many ceremonies have you stood in? That's what we're talking about. So your current marriage counts. Current marriage status, single, never going to be married. If you're divorced in the past but you're married, just click married here. Information about you, date of current marriage, if currently married, yes, we're definitely going to be filling that in. Place of current marriage, put all that in. Name of your current spouses, name of all your spouse, right? So spouse one, current spouse first, then list all of your prior spouses. So current spouse here, then prior spouse here. Information about your parents. Parent 1, okay, and then parent 2. If parent 1 is deceased, okay, then you're still going to put this information in, and then when you get down to of residence, here's where you're going to put in deceased and deceased. Okay. Information about you, the petitioner. I am a U.S. citizen or LPR. You're going to be one or the other. If you're a U.S. citizen, I have birth, naturalization. Parents, most of my clients are birthed. Have you obtained a certificate of naturalization? If you have, hit yes, and then your certificate number, place of issuance, and date of issuance will be here. And all that information appears on the certificate. If you're LPR, green card, we're not dealing with LPRs, so we'll skip this. Employment history. Provide your employment history for the last 5 years, whether inside or outside the United States. Provide your current employment first. If you are currently unemployed, type or print unemployed in item number 42. Okay, so employment. Self-employed is employed. Unemployed is not employed. So name of employer, if it's self, put self-employed. Otherwise, they're going to be a name or a person who's hiring you, or a company name. Street number, the name of your occupation here, and then the dates of employment. And they have another slot here for number 2. And again, we're going back 5 years, so you might need to use that addendum. Biographic information, here we go, the ethnicity, race, weight, height, eye color, hair color, information about the beneficiary. Okay, we haven't talked about the immigrant coming in yet, so here's where we start to talk about the immigrant. Alien number, if any. Okay, most of the time the beneficiaries do not have alien numbers, so here's going to be one where you type in none. Okay, account number. Beneficiary probably doesn't have one. None. U.S. Social Security number, if any. None. Right? Beneficiaries, full name. Okay, there's their name. And if they have no middle name, leave it blank. Okay? Leave it blank. First name and last name is fine. If you have 2 last names, put both last names here. Maybe you have a dash in between. That's fine. They'll do either one, with a dash or with not. But again, beneficiary's name wants to match their identity documents. So we have other name used for aliases, maiden names, and nicknames. But make sure this beneficiary's name matches their passport and their birth certificate. Other information about the beneficiary: city, town, village of birth, country of birth, date of birth, sex. Has anyone else ever filed a petition for the beneficiary? So that would be yes or no. Unknown, only if you do not know, and the beneficiary also does not know anyone else has ever filed a petition for the beneficiary. So there might be parts where a beneficiary's parents have been filed for, and you're not clear if I was included in that application or not. That'd be a good example of an unknown. Beneficiary's physical address. Lives outside the United States, in a home without a street number or name. Leave items number 11A and 11B blank. So you're not going to put none or not applicable, just leave those blank. But again, this is adjustment of status, so we do not expect you to have on this video address outside, so you would just put not applicable or NA on this top line here. Other addresses and contact information. Provide the address in the United States where the beneficiary intends to live, if different from the numbers 11A and 11H. If this address is the same, type or print same in line number 12A. So here's 12A, so most of the time that's going to go for same. Addresses outside the United States, if different. If the address is the same, press same. And 13A, remember 13A is right here, but we're relating to 11A and 11H, which is the beneficiary's physical address outside. So each one of these questions relates to a previous question. You got your phone numbers, email address, if any. Okay. Beneficiary's marital information. How many times been married? Current marriage status should be married for this application. Date of current marriage should be the same. place of beneficiary's current marriage. Okay, city, town, state, province. You're going to want this to match up to the marriage certificate. Name of beneficiary spouses. Okay, beneficiary's current spouse, if currently married, which would be hopefully the U.S. citizen sponsor. Name, last name, middle name, date marriage ended. Okay, if that'd be a not applicable right there if you're still married, and then previous marriages here. And again, you're going to want to have a divorce decree for each one of your previous marriages to show that the previous marriages are done and that you are now legally and lawfully married to your U.S. citizen sponsor. And then more people here going down to beneficiary's entry information. Was the beneficiary ever in the United States? For adjustment of status, that's always going to be yes. If the beneficiary is currently in the United States, he or she arrived as a class of admission. Now that I-94 record is going to have a stamp on it, so you want to use that as your reference to make sure that you're matching all the immigration documents. Form I-94 number plugs in right here. Date of arrival. Date authorized stay will expired, or type or print DS for duration of status. So again, you get that information from the website. Your passport numbers here, travel document number, country of issuance for passport or travel document, expiration date for passport or travel document. Beneficiary's employment information, okay? So here's the employer. Now, with the new rules with affidavit of support, they want to know that the beneficiary is not going to become a public charge. They want to know, are they skilled? Are they educated? Are they have a past history of earning income? Do they know how to start a business? What's their deal? Are they going to come in and freeload, or are they going to be able to come in and be productive? So with your employment information, put as much as you can. More is better. Having unemployed your whole life is not going to look good in the Trump administration's guidelines for weeding out people. So employment information, go here, and then you're going to add more information at the end of the form if you have more information to add, and I hope you do, more than just one job. Okay, additional information about beneficiary. Was the beneficiary ever in immigration proceedings, meaning removal or deportation? And if you said yes, here's your choices with that. Now, if there is this issue going on, you're probably going to want to talk to a lawyer because there's different waivers and things you might need to file in order to get this thing approved and get a green card for someone. But for right now, for the petition, they just want to know the information on the removal proceeding. And if you have been in removal proceeding, you're going to want a complete copy of all your removal proceeding, which you can file for through a Freedom of Information Act request with the Executive Office of Immigration Review, which is the immigration court. Information about beneficiaries. If the beneficiary's native written language does not use Roman letters, type or print his or her name and foreign address in their native written language. Okay, so, my Hindi clients are going to write their information here, handwrite. You can print it. You can cut and paste and print it in because it says type or print. So you can type it in, and that's fine, or print it in. Filing for your spouse, last address at which you physically live together. Okay, so I hope if you're adjusting a status, you guys are living together right now. Sometimes you're not, because of job commitments, school commitments, that kind of thing. But this is going to be a red flag for marriage fraud right here if you're not living in the same address. The beneficiaries in the United States will apply for adjustment of status to that of a lawful permanent resident in the United States Immigration Services Office in, okay, so you're going to put your city or town where your nearest immigration office is, and you can find that on the immigration website. There's an office locator, and it'll tell you where the main offices are and the state. Okay, now listen to this one. The beneficiary will not apply for adjustment of status in the United States, but he or she will apply for an immigrant visa abroad at the U.S. Embassy or U.S. Consulate in city or town, province, and country. Okay, we're going to ask you to fill this out and include the information here. Here's why. This petition can be used both ways. It can be used for an adjustment of status here in the United States or consular processing outside the United States. If you go for an adjustment of status and for some reason they say no, you can't adjust status, you have to do it at the embassy. If you don't have this thing filled out here, you have to file a whole nother form to get that, and that's going to be a huge delay and more expense. Whereas if this information already has the information for the embassy in the form, they can go ahead and forward the I-130, approve the I-130, and forward it right to the National Visa Center. If they want to. They might not. I mean, things are changing quickly, but this is what I advise my clients, is to go ahead and put the information in here. Note, choosing a U.S. embassy or U.S. consulate outside the country of the beneficiary's last residence does not guarantee that it will accept the beneficiary's case for processing. In these situations, the designated U.S. embassy or U.S. consulate has discretion over whether or not to accept the beneficiary's case. So, in the example I can think of off the top of my head would be Jamaica, that they used to do immigrant visa processing, and then that was moved to Dominican Republic. So you can request Jamaica, but they're only doing tourist visas out of there. They may do an immigrant visa so you can get a green card, but most likely they're not. They're going to require you to go to Dominican Republic, that kind of thing. Or if you are living in Tokyo, but you're really from Vietnam, and you want to go ahead and request that you do the processing in Tokyo, they may say yes, they may say no. They may make you go back home to Vietnam. So that's what they're talking about. They have a lot of power and authority in the embassies overseas. Okay. Have you ever previously filed a petition for this beneficiary or any other alien? Yes or no? If yes, okay, previous people you've petitioned for. Results, okay. If you're submitting separate petitions for other relatives, provide the names of and your relationship to each relative. So this would be kids, of a spouse who are coming in, so you put those in. U.S. investigates the claimed relationships and verifies the validity of the documents you submit. If you falsify a family relationship to obtain a visa, USCIS may seek to have you criminally prosecuted. So falsifying family relationships to obtain a visa, definitely not a good idea. And then we get into the statements, which are pretty much the same for all of the forms that we're going to be going through. The petitioner's statement, I read and understand English, or the interpreter name read to me every question, put the interpreter's name in here, and at my request, the preparer named in Part 8, which in my case would be Mark Daly, who's my lawyer, prepared this petition for me upon information I provided or authorized. So my clients send me the information, they send me the documents, they send me the checklist, they send me all the questionnaires, I prepare the forms, we put my name there. You'll be doing this on your own though, so you'll put your name there. Petitioner's contact information, declaration, and the signature right there. So that's definitely, you're going to have to sign this, and I like you to sign this in blue ink so that they know it is an original signature. Interpreter's contact information, here's interpreter stuff is going to go here, and then preparer. My preparer, if I'm preparing it, would all go there. But if you're the petitioner and you're preparing your own, you don't need to prepare. You don't need to fill in the preparer statement. And that is the end of the form, which brings us to the last pages where the addendum. So all the employment history, all the other stuff that you want to total in, you can just go and fill this addendum, page 12, and load in 5 more fields. If you have more information after that, then you would want to use separate pages and just stack them and write on them the page number, part number, item number, your name, and if you have an A number, all that is going to go on every addendum page that you create so that they can track it and they can consider it to be part of the application. Okay, so there's your I-130. Yay! Now we're going to go to the I-130A, which is right here. And the I-130A, I'm opening it, but now I'm going to save it on my hard drive immediately. Yes, thank you. Saved on hard drive, and I'm going to shut this thing down on the web. I'm going to open up the hard drive, and I'm going to fill my form in on the hard drive, save it on the hard drive, and I'll just keep saying this because to spend all your time filling it out and then have it not be able to save it on your hard drive is a crime. It's just kidding. This is a drag. It's not really a crime. All right, so here's your I-130A. This is the basic biographic information about your spouse. All right, so the U.S. citizen, right, is the spouse petitioner. This one is the immigrant spouse beneficiary, right? So A number, USCIS, name, address history, okay? Addresses outside the United States, information about you, information about parents, employment history, employment outside the United States, okay? And then contact information, certification, and signature, interpreter, speaking English, interpreter contact, signature, prepare a full name. If I'm preparing it, then I put my stuff here. And then you have your final page, which is the rest of the information. Great. Okay, so that's it for video number 2. Petition for alien relative, I-130, and the I-130A supplemental information form. Thanks for watching the video. This is a series of 7, so you're down 2. That means you've got 5 more to go. See you on the next video.